Welcome back to the Real with Joseph Lappin. I am Joseph Lappin. Hope you guys having a great Monday afternoon. Welcome into the Real. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, and share. I really appreciate that on the way in here. Helps promote this video more in the algorithms. Helps promote this channel more. And leave a comment below. But please like, subscribe, and also a new feature in the comment section, or where the comments are, usually on like your phone, around the bottom, you'll see where it says hype the video. Please hype the video. That also helps promote the video more in the algorithm. If you just hit hype, and it's like a point system or something. They started recently where you can just hype the video and it puts it into the video algorithm and it promotes it more publicly. So please do that as well. I appreciate you guys. Hype the video, like, subscribe, and share. But let's get into it. The Cavs season is obviously been over. The NBA season is officially over. It's the Knicks won the NBA championship. Saturday night, New York got its first championship in basketball for the Knicks in 53 years. The city was a chaos Saturday night and the Sunday morning. It was a lot of chaos. But, hey, the Knicks got it done. It was a great story of this team. Dominant postseason run for them. Great congratulations to Mike Brown, former Cavs head coach, who I always liked, had a lot of respect for. I think kind of got the raw deal in some ways, but congrats to Mike Brown. Jalen Brunson, who I like to call Captain America, American player, went to Villanova, won there, and obviously now at the Knicks, and, a guy that's always been saying, people said he's undersized and everything. Just a lot of heart, but man, he's a hell of a player, and he gets the job done, especially in the clutch moments. Captain Clutch is what they call him, but to me, he's like the Captain America, just the all-American type of basketball player. But that whole team, obviously, they made a lot of moves to build that team. They traded away Julius Randle and guys like that to get Karl-Anthony Towns. They traded away 5 first-round picks to get Mikal Bridges. They got aggressive. They fired Tom Thibodeau when I feel like he maxed them out, and they went and got Mike Brown. And it worked in 1 year. Once they put it all together, it was it, and they got the chip. And they broke the 53-year drought. And that was a team that, I'll be honest, a lot of, going into the season, we talked about it. I didn't see a lot of people picking the Knicks to win the championship, unless you lived in New York because you're a homer, or maybe a few national writers here and there. I didn't see a lot of people picking the Knicks to win the NBA championship, or even win the East, to be honest with you. So, I take that back. There were some people picking them to win the East, but it wasn't like you didn't think they were actually. I didn't see anybody for the season like, yeah, the Knicks, this is their year. They got a really good team, but when nobody thinks they were going to be a team from the West or anything like that. But I think the way Mike Brown went about it throughout the regular season, he used the regular season as kind of like a whiteboard of kind of like he tested a lot of things. This was written over the weekend, kind of his philosophy throughout the year, which was testing different lineups and different personnel packages with his team and just different things. He just kind of experimented throughout the year, and obviously they won enough games at home court advantage, and they found the right formula and got hot at the right time. But I think they had the right pieces that you need to win in the NBA. Obviously, in terms, you got to have wings, you got to have size, guys that can guard and make shots and defend, and rebound. But also guys who I think what they have is the intangibles. They have the right coach. They have a team that's fully bought into the culture and the coach from the ownership on down. They play 110% effort every single night. There's leadership on that team, clearly. They have all the intangibles that I think other teams like the Cavs don't have. And I think ultimately that's what was the separator for them. They weren't the most talented team. They're talented, don't get me wrong, but they weren't the most talented team. But I think they just have certain intangibles that other teams, like I said, they just don't have. And so, to me, that was a separator. But some interesting Cavs news today to start off the official NBA offseason has obviously begun. And some interesting news today that I'm not surprised has popped up, because I knew this would come up at some point, but I was waiting to see if it would, and it did. And like Wally said, get your popcorn ready, because this is going to be an interesting show today. The Cavs have a big offseason ahead. Parent John said they better make moves. Kobe will be gone if he doesn't. I think a move for Drew Holiday makes sense. They could have had Drew Holiday for Darius, but they chose to go with James Harden. I'm curious what they think about that now, looking back at it. I personally would go with Drew Holiday because it gives me defense. He's a two-way guy, and he's done it before, and he's won a championship. But that's just me. But Donovan Mitchell. Is he here for the long haul, really? And I asked this in a serious way because I know there's a lot of Homer Cats fans, and I'm a diehard Cats fan, but oh, Donovan's not going anywhere. He loves Cleveland and blah, blah, blah. It's the same people that say, let's run it back every year with Dean Wade at small forward and everything's just hunky dory and they'll be okay, right? They got swept off their home floor. They quit in game 4, blew a 20-plus point lead on the road in game 1. They'll be okay. They'll be back, the team that quit, the team that the owner after the season said, again, the owner of the team, we took a step forward. We took a step ahead in the spring, but we are nowhere near where we need to be. I can't thank the fans enough for the support this year. We will dig in all summer and do everything we possibly can to take the next step. We will grind until we get there. He will do everything they will do everything they possibly can to take the next step because he said before that they are nowhere near they need to be. Nowhere near. Not even 2 blocks away, not like a half mile away, not 20 minutes away, nowhere near where they need to be. And again, the team that just won the championship beat them so bad that they made them quit. The Cavs quit. Okay, they quit in that series. That game 4 at home was a bit. That was absolutely pathetic. It was abysmal. They absolutely quit. Even when Kyrie and LeBron in 2017, the year after they won the championship, and the Warriors had Durant, and you kind of knew like, okay, it's gonna be tough to beat these guys with Durant now. When they were down 3-0 after they had a heartbreaking game 3 loss at home, they still came out in game 4 and said, you're not sweeping us on our home floor. You might beat us in game 5 in Golden State, which they did, but we're not going out like that. These guys, though, they had zero pride. It was just bend over and just take it and just lay on your back and just quit. That's exactly what the Cavs did this postseason. And so, I think when the owner comes out and says this right after this, they lost. Dan Gilbert, we all know Dan Gilbert. He's been a little bit away in recent years because of health things he had in his life. But, he's back involved clearly. He's tweeting after every game. He sits courtside at every game. He travels to I saw him all the road. Like, he's very much involved again. And when he comes out and says something, the guy that's the boss of everybody and pays all the bills, he's going to want some change. But how does this tie back to Donovan Mitchell now and saying, is he actually here for the long haul? Well, there was some interesting comments today brought up by Chris Fedor of Cleveland.com on 92.3 The Fan, and CBS Sports threw out an article about the top 50 offseason NBA trade candidates. And they listed 50 guys, right? And at number 4, they had, and I'll put it up here on the screen. I'll start with CBS first before I get to Chris Fedor's comments. And like I said, you're just joining, please like, subscribe, and share. They had Donovan Mitchell number 4. And I believe it had his salary is making $50.1 million. But it says Mitchell just made the first conference finals of his career. If the goal is a championship, well, his non-competitive loss to the Knicks suggests the Cavs suggests Cleveland still isn't close. Mitchell could become a free agent in 2027, and like Antetokounmpo, is entering in quote extend or trade offseason. Cleveland traded Darius Garland for James Harden in part to appease Mitchell. So the Cavaliers will probably do whatever it takes to convince Mitchell to stay. He has similarly expressed a desire to remain in Cleveland. Until that extension is actually signed, though, we can't rule anything out. What is said publicly is what is intended privately don't always align. If Cleveland is less certain about its ability to contend with Mitchell, or if Mitchell sees a more desirable situation elsewhere, anything should be treated as possible. That's what happens when that's what happens when an all-in team gets embarrassed and as thoroughly as the Cavaliers were against the Knicks. And then it was Evan Mobley number 5, obviously a tier 2 possibly for Giannis, which we'll discuss that here shortly. But so a lot to unpack here. Now, again, this was written by, I want to make sure I get the name right. Let's scroll up here. Sam Quinn, who's been around the NBA for a little bit now. He's covered the NBA for a while. But CBS Sports Sam Quinn wrote this. I think what he wrote here actually has some validity to it because I think a lot of it does. Because I get what he's trying to say. Now, yes, Donovan, I don't think right now wants to leave because Donovan has potentially a 5-year, $350 million contract extension next summer. Okay, he's not going to sign it this summer because ultimately it makes sense for him to wait till next summer because he'll get more money if he stays, right? He'll get 5 years, $350 million. And the big thing, he gets a no trade clause on that. So I think that's the first thing. He's going to wait till next summer. He's not going to sign this summer. But it also gives him the flexibility because he can use that as leverage against the Cavs to, like he says there, convince, they have went all in to get James Harden. It says in part to appease Mitchell, right? They're going to do whatever it takes to convince him to stay. And so, while yes, he has expressed a desire to remain in Cleveland, like it says there. I think he hit the nail right on the head. Until it's actually signed, we can't rule anything out. And I think ultimately this falls back on the Cavs because the Cavs, in my opinion, they got to do whatever it takes, like Dan Gilbert said this offseason, to make something happen. They can't just stand pat and run it back with the same team because we see this team now. We've seen this team. Yes, you went out and got James Harden, and I know it hasn't been a full year yet. I get it. But James Harden looked unplayable at times in the postseason. I mean, defensively, he looked. Who was a worse defensive player in the postseason in the NBA at this playoffs than James Harden? I don't think there was any. He was the worst defender I saw. Every time they switched on to him, it was an automatic bucket. Jalen Brunson, as soon as he saw him, it was like a kid in a candy store. I mean, his eyes just lit up, and it was just a free for all. And again, I like James Harden, and he got arrested over the weekend. I don't think it was anything serious. He was out at a hookah lounge for 3:30 in the morning. He had his gun. His gun wasn't properly stored in a holster. It was on his passenger seat, and so they got him for that. But nothing serious, I don't think. I don't think it's going to affect him in his contract or negotiations or anything. Once I read the story, I was like, okay, this isn't really a lot. But still, I mean, it's just like, what are you doing out at 3:30 in the morning, though? I don't, put yourself in the situation. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But, uh, I again, who was a worse defender than this guy? Nobody. And he looks like he's on the back end, and they're demanding way too much from him. You can have James Harden, I think, on a team that could win, but you have to put him in the right role, and you have to explain, like, he's got to know, like, this is what you are now. We're paying you, but because we're only a team that's going to pay you this kind of money, but this is what your role is. Like, this is how you're going to be help, affect this team and contribute to a winning formula. And I think the way he's been playing throughout his career, that don't work anymore. It's never really worked. Kobe Bryant said it that time when he talked about James. Remember, James was averaging 30-something points. Dribble, 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 like Charles Barkley said. Kobe Bryant said it. That's not a winning formula. You can't win like that. And so you have to be able to play off the ball to be successful as a great scorer as well and to help contribute to winning. And I think the more they could take him off the ball in a lesser role, if he's your third or fourth option, I would say fourth option, which you can do, I think that makes more sense. And so, that's the first part. But also, we've seen this core four. We've seen Jared Allen have some great game sevens, but then have some dud performances in the postseason. Evan Mobley, I don't like the way they utilize him a lot of times, but he's just not a number one guy. He's not going to be, but he's still a pretty good player you can use. But they have no wings. They have no legit like 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" wings. They just don't. And you look at the Knicks. They got OG Anunoby and they got Mikal Bridges. Okay, they got guys that they're big, physical. Or I would say, well, OG's physical, but Mikal's long. He's a 7'1" wingspan, right? Josh Hart even 6'5", 6'6", very good guard. Has a lot of great winning intangibles. Does all the dirty work, makes things easier for Brunson. Like the Cavs need more of those guys that could actually defend and be two-way guys. Okay, they're not just guys who can just score and shoot. They're guys that can get rebounds. They can switch and defend. They can, push the ball in transition. They can attack, get and ones. They can make free throws consistently. Like they do everything well. They're just good basketball players. You can't get enough of those guys, especially with the height you need, the size you need. If you're going to have a smaller Donovan Mitchell, like the Knicks showed you can win with a smaller guard, but you got to have the right pieces around him to make it happen. Right now, the Cavs don't. We've seen this group, this formula with them for the last 3 years now, 4 years, right? And we saw with two different coaches, and it was the same result. Yes, they finally made it to the conference finals. I don't think it should have been as bad as it was, or as hard as it was for them to get there. Detroit, maybe you go. I think you still go 7. Detroit's a really good team, but 7 games with the Toronto Raptors should not have happened. I'm just sorry. If you're that good of a team, you should have beat them dudes in 5 games. Okay. I just think it was, and then blowing a lead like that in game 1 at Madison Square Garden, a game you had to win. and to lose it in that fashion, and then to quit like that in game 4, like, to me, this team is maxed out. I don't see any value of running this team. And you said when you brought back Kenny Atkinson that it's not the coach, who I think had a terrible postseason. And not put it all on him. I explained where, I don't think it's all on Kenny. I think Kenny is missing some ingredients from his player in terms of a personnel standpoint, and leadership and intangibles. I think he needs on his roster. But again, a lot of it's on him, but a lot of it's on that as well. The roster construction, type of players they're bringing in, right? I think it's not all on Kenny, but you said when you brought back the coach base that it's not on him, that it's a players thing. Because again, the owner said we're nowhere near we need to be. So if you're nowhere near you need to be, what are you going to do? You said it's not the coach. You brought him back. That means you have to upgrade the roster. What are you going to practice more? What are you going to start running 2-a-days in the summer? I mean, like, what are they going to do differently with the same if they're going to run it back? What are they going to do differently? We've seen 3 years of this, 4 years of this team. We know who they are. Okay, you have to get better. You have to upgrade the roster. You can't just stand pat. Standing again, there's no way you're going to get better standing pat. It's just not going to happen. You don't have the right formula in terms of intangibles and the right personnel on the wings to win. You just don't. Okay, Dean Wade, nice guy. He's not a starting caliber player in the NBA. You're never going to see Dean Wade in a championship round playing meaningful basketball as a starter. It's just not going to happen. It's just nothing against the guy. He's just not a starting player in the NBA, okay, on a championship team. On maybe a mid-level team, sure, but he's not on a championship, a real contending team, okay? He would be the 9th guy in the rotation in New York, all right? So let's just stop there. We need to get some real pieces in here, and it's time to wake up, stop making excuses, stop trying to act everything's all hunky-dory and blah, blah, blah. I mean, we enable this team as fans, I think sometimes too. We love our team so much, and we're so grateful that they finally became something, after all the years when LeBron left, they were not good. But it's like, okay, at some point you got to level up. At some point you got to be like, oh, hey, man, we're not good enough. We got to do more. But, again, I think the bigger pressure this offseason, not only the way they lost, like he wrote in the article there, but you went all in and it wasn't good enough. You got wiped off the floor. Your team quit. So if you got wiped off the floor, your team quit, you got to make some serious roster moves. You got to change your DNA as a team, right? You got to get some different type of players in here, and not only from a game, from a schematic standpoint, in terms of like guys who are longer, can defend, from the basketball standpoint and size wise, but you got to get guys that are actual dogs, guys that are actual like leave it all out there. They're not going to quit. Like the Knicks, they got dogs. They're not. Some of those guys aren't the most talented guys. Some of them can't shoot, but they all are really good basketball players, and they got dogs. And they got a coach that's got them all bought into the right culture and system and the mindset. That's what matters. And they have depth, right? They got guys because of the culture, because of development, because of the buy-in, because of the leadership, they have depth. It produces that. And so, to me, the Cavs have to make some serious moves. Them running it back serves them no justice. It's a complete disservice to the fans and to even themselves and to everybody involved. It will just be another year where they'll win some regular season games. We'll all buy into we'll all drink the Kool-Aid going into the postseason. They'll win a round or two, and then they'll get smoked. It's the same thing. It's not going to change. We know who Donovan Mitchell is. We know who Harden is now. We know we know Mobley. We know Allen. We know all these guys. Okay, I think the only guy you have that's really like a Josh Hart type of guy is Max Strus. Okay, that's a guy I would hold on to. Is he a starter at the 3? No, he's only 6'5", but he's a guy off my bench I definitely want. I think he's definitely a good player. So, for me, they got to make some moves. But also another reason why they got to make some moves, he must have been laughing at what I said earlier. Should have signed Caitlin Clark and Andrew Reese for Game 7. Oh, boy. And analytically, it's Game 7, bro, remember? If Dan says we need to change, then something will happen. I want to believe that, Parmesan. I think Parmesan, that tying into my next point, is he actually here for the long haul? Again, going back to what Chris Fedor said today on 93 The Fan, I didn't play that yet. Here's what he said today about his future. Again, you just saw what CBS Sports says about there is a pressure this offseason. You got to kind of convince him in a way, hey, we're trying to get better. Like, we're not just going to – if Donovan – and I'll say if Donovan believes the team that they just had, if he believes in running it back, then that to me makes me want to question Donovan. And I'm 100% serious with you guys. Like, I like the guy. I think he's a hell of a player. But if he thinks they should run it back, that's a serious problem. Because this guy, I've already said, I don't think he's a true number one on a championship team. I think that's what the Cavs are missing, is somebody that's actually been there and done that. He just now got a taste of the conference finals. This guy don't know what it takes to win an NBA championship because he's never done it. So, in some respect, I kind of go at Donovan. I don't say I go at, but I've said this before in my show, a Tune show, like, hey, Donovan, chill out, bro. In some ways, like, I get you want to try to win, but sometimes you need to take a back seat and just relax. Like, hey, maybe I need somebody to come in here and help me win. Show me how to win. Like, don't walk around like you've actually went out and won 5 championships yourself, or what. You're not on Jalen Brunson's level right now. Jalen Brunson's won a championship, and he's a better player than you right now. Point blank, period. Can't deny it. So, and maybe Donovan Mitchell, and I think if Donovan really believes they should run it back, which I don't really think he does, I think Donovan knows they got to get better, and they got to make some moves. He's got to say all the right things publicly. But if he does, that would make me question him. Like, hey, man. But I do think he needs to. If I'm Donovan, I need to look in the mirror and be like, listen, I need somebody here that can help me. If LeBron James could say I had to go to Miami and learn how to win, then who is Donovan Mitchell to say otherwise? He needs to find get somebody in here that can help me, take some pressure off, can help the team in a great way, right? But can show me how to win. Sometimes you got to sacrifice, right, in order to get where you want to get to in life. And I think a lot of people nowadays, they don't want to sacrifice because they want to be it's got to happen now, or it's got to be their way, or they got to be their way or the highway. They got to be the man. Well, sometimes you got to sacrifice. And a lot of times you do have to sacrifice. There is sacrifice in everything to be successful in life. And maybe that's what this team hasn't realized yet. From the leadership on down, whatever leadership there is. But again, Chris Fedor today on 92.3 The Fan, he spoke about Donovan's contract future. Here's what he had to say.
Chris, sticking with Donovan here for a moment, obviously there's some decisions that have to be made on both sides of this thing. Donovan, Donovan's perspective, does he want to do the extension this offseason? Is he willing to, or does he want to wait until next year when he can really add to the value of the contract and then do the extension? If he doesn't do it this offseason, the questions about his commitment creep in and things like that. Where is the where do things stand with Donovan right now? And I guess there's a bigger question to be asked about, like, the dollars involved if he does wait, right? I mean, if I remember correctly, he'd be pushing 68 to 70 million in average value. Am I right about that?
So here's the thing. I think if Donovan had a pure financial advisor, just somebody who was telling him, here's what you should do from a financial standpoint with your contract this offseason versus next offseason, that financial advisor would say, wait, because he can make more next offseason. He can make more in terms of years. He can make more in terms of overall salary. And he can also get some perks attached to his contract, including a no trade clause. Mm-hmm. So there are benefits to Donovan not signing an extension with the Cavs this offseason. And I'm not going to put words in his mouth. He's a very savvy person. He understands how to handle these things in the media. And when these questions continued to come, he continued to answer them the same kind of way. But I'm reading that as Donovan is preparing this fan base for him not signing this contract extension, because I think he understands the benefits of waiting. And I think he's letting it be known how much he wants to be here in Cleveland. He's letting it be known how much he believes in this organization. He's letting it be known that he's not looking to go elsewhere, and all of that kind of stuff that has come out either in his interview with Anscape or immediately after losing against the Knicks, or every single time he talks about his love for Cleveland. I think he's laying the groundwork to bypass this contract extension from the Cavs and try and cash in next offseason. But I don't think that means that he doesn't believe in this group. I don't think that means that he wants out. I don't think that means that he's starting to look at other possibilities as his future destination. I think he's just looking at this from a financial standpoint and what's best for him. And getting a no trade clause and getting a 5-year, $350 million contract is really, really enticing for somebody like Donovan. And here's the other thing. There's always the other side of it of, okay, if you turn down the contract extension, what is the level of risk attached to that? You could get injured. Your career could go a different kind of way. You know, maybe you don't have the year where you're in the all NBA conversation or something like that. Well, Donovan has protection from all of that because he has a player option attached to his contract for next offseason. So if everything goes the worst case possible for Donovan, then he just opts into his contract and then he rebuilds his value that kind of way. So the downside that sometimes comes with turning down such a huge contract, it just doesn't exist to the same level for somebody like Donovan.
And that was courtesy of 92.3 The Fan. Again, a lot of what he talked about there is the contract, right? It makes more sense in the way for next offseason. If something were to happen, he has a player option he can opt into. Like, he's got some security. But I think, though, if I'm Donovan, and I think Donovan will use this in some ways behind the scene. If he's smart, he would, because, again, if they're going to run it back with the same team, and if Donovan were to be okay with running this back with the same team, I would question Donovan. Now, and Donovan has never won at the NBA level, right? So I think he doesn't really know, like, as much as a guy like LeBron James up with the formula what it takes. But I don't think he's not stupid. He knows, he has an understanding what it's going to be, right? And I think he wants to win, right? He's going to get paid. He's going to get a big payday, like you heard, and salute to him. He well deserved. But I think if Donovan's smart, which I think he very much is, I think he's a good dude. He's going to use that. He should use that in some ways this offseason to kind of put some pressure on them. Like, hey, man, this team is not good enough. I got myself. We got Mobley. I like J.A. I like my dude Hart, but we got to get better. We are not on these other guys' level. We're just not. And if I'm Donovan, like I said, I think he's got to realize, like, I need some help. Like, I need somebody to help me out to win, but also we kind of be 1A, 1B. We could be Batman and Robin together, or Batman and Superman. Maybe that's a better way to put it. Like, I need some help. And so if I'm Donovan, I'm definitely urging the organization to do whatever it takes to get another guy in here. And now, obviously, the big one is, Giannis Antetokounmpo via trade. That's the one right now everybody's talking about, because Giannis is probably going to get moved by the draft, from what I heard. And so, right now, Miami has been the leader in the pack for a while. A lot of people, he has a lot of interest in going to Miami. Miami really wants him. I don't think Miami's trade package, to me, is all that great for a guy like Giannis. That's just my opinion. I don't think Tyler Hero and Khalil Ware and a couple picks is good enough for a guy like Giannis, in my opinion. But the Boston Celtics is a team that I would definitely take a look at, because those rumors are really heated up over the weekend. Bill Simmons believes that Boston is going to get Giannis Antetokounmpo. I don't know if that's any insight. I think it's just his read on the situation. But the Boston stuff seems to be very real. There's a lot of smoke around it from a lot of people I know that have put out, that I trust. They've said they believe it's real and that it could happen at any moment. You could look down your phone and see Boston has acquired Giannis, and that Jaylen Brown, it'll be a 3-team deal. That Jaylen Brown's going to go to either, I know Atlanta's one of the rumored teams, or now the Clippers today were a team that's rumored. He'll go to one of those two teams. I could totally see this happening. I think Jaylen Brown will want to get moved at some point. I mean, he had a hell of a year last year without Tatum before he came back. Was playing at an MVP level. I think he wants to go somewhere where he can, flourish more and be that guy like he was for 75% of the season before Tatum came back. Not that they have beef or anything like that, but just guys eventually want to go out and do their own thing. It's just part of it. They want to build their own brand, their own legacy, and enhance it more. So it makes more money for them. And, just guys want that. And so I think I could totally see that trade happen. And if you're Boston, I know Giannis, I think he would definitely have intrigue played there. A team like that with a historic franchise, on the East Coast, I think the NBA would like it. They get a superstar back in the East Coast market, like a big brand guy like that with his shoe, his own shoe and everything like that. So, I think it makes a lot of sense from that marketing standpoint. And for Giannis, it makes sense. And so if I'm the Cavs, are looking at this like, hey man, you put Giannis in that Boston team with Jason Tatum, and I'm sure they'll get some more pieces in there. Like, they're getting better, right? they're trying to get better. They're at least trying to go all in and get better, be aggressive. This is a team that last year a lot of people thought that in the Celtics wouldn't even be a postseason team without Tatum, and they're not satisfied with just being average, And that was a bad year for them last year, losing in the first round. That's their bad year. Okay, they're going all in to go get Giannis. Miami, the same thing. You let Pat Riley. I mean, people look at it and say, well, Giannis and Bam, that's not a threat in the East. Well, give Pat Riley a year or two. He's going to build that team up. Okay, it's Pat Riley. He's done it before. He's just waiting on to get that next real superstar since LeBron. Really, I know he had Jimmy Butler, but Jimmy's not on that caliber. Like he's and they've still made the finals of those teams. So again, these teams are all going to try to get better. Atlanta, if they get Jaylen Brown, they're going to get better. Like the Cavs have to not stand pat. They have to try to level up. And if a guy like Giannis is sitting there, listen, I love Evan Mobley. I think Evan's a great player. And I don't think Evans deserved a lot of the criticism he's gotten, because I think a lot of it's been on the coaching staff and how they've tried to utilize him. And some of it is him, but I think a lot of it's on them. But regardless of all that, I like him. But if we're in a win now situation, the moment you traded Darius Garland, because that was your first piece you had to move on to get out of the technical, rebuild or that, transition era to get, are we going to make the playoffs? Can we get to the second round? Blah, blah, blah. As soon as you made that deal and went on for a 36-year-old James Harden who gives you no defense, you were saying you're all in. So, again, you might as well just go all in now, because at the ultimate of the day, the piece you have to hold on to the most is Donovan. You have to, because he's the guy. He's your superstar type of play. I don't think he's a superstar. I wouldn't say superstar, but he's a franchise type of player. Obviously, he's a franchise player. So you don't let those guys just walk out the door. You got to try to keep him here. He wants to be here, but you got to get better. And so, to me, if you get a guy like Giannis who has won before, is a definitely number one option, you try to go get that guy. And he helps you on both ends. He checks all the boxes, everything earlier I said they need. And if I'm Donovan, I want that guy with me. And then I would even take it a step further after that. I'm trying to go get LeBron. I mean, I'm going to get LeBron. And if I get Giannis, I don't know if I need LeBron as much. I may go try to get something else, but I'm being honest with you guys, because on paper, you see the names, but how does LeBron, Giannis, and Mitchell all work together? I'm curious. I think they could make it work, but all three need the ball in their hands. Giannis likes the ball at the top of the key, so does LeBron. And Donovan needs the ball too, right? So I'm not sure how that would work. I think even if you just went out LeBron this offseason with Donovan and Evan, right? You could keep Donovan and Evan, because Evan's he's part of your future if you keep him. And I understand why they're reluctant to give him up. But you still got to go get LeBron. Go get somebody that can help Donovan, show him the format, but also you get LeBron, you get another kind of guy like that he's 41 years old, but he still played at a high level. I still think on the right situation and team could definitely contribute to help winning a championship. He could even be the Finals MVP. So he's still that guy. He's still LeBron. You go get that guy. Okay, you go get that guy. And you retool your team around them. You will get more size, more wings. You got to get bigger. You got to get more defense. You got to get more and consistent two-way guys that can go get you rebounds and clutch moments, not just could shoot a three and make it. Like, we need winning basketball in this team. We need guys who have been there and done that. We need leadership. We need winning intangibles. Okay, so if I'm the Cavs, I'm consulting with Donovan, and I'm going all in this offseason. Like, what do you think? Do you think Giannis fits? Should we go get him? Or do you think LeBron with Evan Mobley in the back end, we get some other pieces, right? We could build out a complete team. Like, that's a pretty damn good team too. Like, what do you think? All right. And I'm going out and I'm making it happen. I'm doing whatever it takes to make it happen. And if he thinks it's Giannis, you got to go get Giannis, because the worst thing you can do is not get better. You run it back next year, the same result. Everybody else got better, and Donovan doesn't re-sign. And now you're screwed. Now you're back to square one. And they worked so hard to find that type of, like Chris Fedor pointed out today, They worked so hard and they gave up a lot of capital to get that guy finally, that kind of franchise caliber guy to get Donovan. And they're just going to let him walk because you didn't want to get better, because you didn't want to go, because you want to. I don't know if it's Kobe Altman and his ego, if that's the case. I'm not saying this. I'm just speculating. I'm saying if they run it back, like, we get it, Kobe. We know you found Dean Wade. He was a no-name guy. You identified him. Like, it looks good, right? He's a nice little player, but you can't hang your hat on those guys for so long. At some point, you got to say, okay, what we've been doing got us to a point, but it's time to level up. Okay, we can't just try to run it back and say, well, I built this team and I'm going to make sure it wins. Well, hey, you keep thinking that, you're going to keep getting the same result. Okay, the little 2-guard system with double bigs, time to be more of a balanced team. You don't have any wings. So, time to start taking notes what these other teams are doing. And so, again, the Cavs, they got to go all in. Got to go all in because is he here for the long haul? I think it's going to depend on what they do this offseason. I really do. I know it's $350 million, 5 years, no trade clause. That may just be enough itself to keep him. And I'm not ruling that out at all. It may very well may be true. But if Donovan really wants to win as bad as I think people say he does, and he does, yeah, the money's good. But at some point, it's like, yeah, man, I don't know if I want to ride it out, get my ass bust every year in the postseason. It ain't worth it. Like, at some point, you got to win, right? You got to win. Now, if you want to be a guy like James Harden, and this isn't a shot at James Harden, but he was content with scoring the ball a lot, getting MVPs, maybe compete for championships. But at the end of the day, to me, that was, I think with him, it's from the outside looking, those are the most two important thing, and getting the money, right? But if you want to be a guy that really leaves a legacy and does something, all right, I think you got to want to get better in second. And we're going to find out. We're going to find out. And if I'm the Cavaliers, honestly, if I were in charge, I don't need Donovan to tell me what to do. I'm just going to go out and do it. And I'm going to get LeBron or Giannis, and if they're the guy, they're the guy, whether he likes it or not. But you'll see in the long run how much better we'll be because they're going to help you. So, and the Cavs need to remember that too. They've been a part of a championship before. Go back to some of those things, right? What you learn from that experience and apply that here. So that's my rant. I got my guys waiting patiently. Perrin John says, I hope Spiders know the Knicks winning. He said about it to be, he said he about to be because he lived in New York too. Yeah, he better be pissed off, and he better start. They all should be pissed off, not just him. They all should be pissed off. What we're doing, what we have is not good enough. I mean, Evan is great, but we can't keep relying on him to become something. No, and they're not going to use him the way I think they should use him. Now he can still be a valuable piece for them, especially defensively. They need his defense and rebounding, and I thought he actually had a pretty good postseason. Him and Max Strus, I thought were the most consistent guys, so I can roll with him. But what Donovan needs next to him right now, they need somebody else. If you have LeBron, Evan, Donovan, that's different. That's a much better because LeBron he's what Donovan needs. It doesn't take this long to find out what you have. Evan is elite defense, but a below average offense. Wally, you still here? Come back and rejoin, Wally. Hit the link again, or wherever Wally was. But I'm gonna get my first guy up here joining me now. Illyria's finest, MMA 11, coming off the UFC Freedom event last night. Dean Wade fan club presidente. Humble's in the building. Humble, what's happening?
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Glad to be up here on Joseph's channel. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Right on.
We don't have your camera, though. You can just go off camera if you want. I don't think your picture's showing. Yeah, you're good. Wally said Jonathan Isaac will help. That's my opinion. Wally, if you can come back up here, rejoin. I saw you in the back earlier. I'll get you back up here. But Humble, I'll start with you. You kind of heard my take there. The Giannis stuff going on right now. Donovan's looming contract. Like, what's your thoughts on all this? And why do you think do you think it's important the Cavs must go all in this offseason to get better? Because it could impact Donovan's future in Cleveland. What do you think?
Oh, 100%, man. I'm glad you asked me that question. First of all, I agree with mostly everything you had said. I want to point a couple of great details you had said. Somewhere along the lines, it feels as if we sold Cavs fans short. you acquired an old man. I know we've talked about it many years of times. You acquired an older guy in James Harden. We know why you picked him up, but he's been bounced around the league for quite a couple of seasons now. Um, you know, like you said, Donovan Mitchell never really won uh, by himself. Really needs a leader around him to help develop his game, as far as we're concerned. Um, and it's just I feel as if Cavs fans have been sold short. You can't really you can't expect this team to win, like you said, and you can't run it back, because what's that gonna do? Like you said, it's gonna make other teams get better. It's only gonna make teams that picked on us this year and beat us, make other teams that weren't as good last year maybe pick up their strategy. So I agree with what you said, Joe. You got to pick up a Giannis. You got to pick up a Braun. Yeah, but you ultimately got to ask the guy who got you here in the first place, the guy you signed for, right? Donovan Mitchell, a guy you traded Laurie Markkinen for, you know, and some picks. I think that you gotta, like you said, I think it's a great point. You got to pick up Giannis, because I don't think Darius and like you said, it's not really a crazy story with the James Harden thing, right? I mean, how do you get in trouble with guns in Texas, right? I mean, come on, it doesn't make sense to me, Joe.
Yeah.
So when I look at it from that perspective, I don't know what James Harden has going on, and I'm not making fun of anybody. It's I think James Harden has a little bit of bipolar, or maybe it's just him having a little too much fame. Because you'll see spurs of him doing this, right? He goes up and down and up and down, and you can't really, like you said, win a championship with a guy with the ball in his hands all the time. Let alone the guy who wants to chooses when he wants to shoot the ball and when not to shoot the ball, right? I mean, it's a little bit of bipolar basketball as far as I'm concerned. And like I said, I'm not making fun of bipolar. I know many of the people that have it. I'm just saying from that perspective, it looks like he's dealing with something. Um, Whether it's the love and passion that he still has for the game, I don't know. But all I know is LeBron James. You can never question that man's passion. You can't question that his leadership. And that's what Joe's basically saying, guys. Donovan Mitchell is not, in fact, a leader, right? You can maybe quote and hope for Evan Mobley to potentially become an alpha, but as far as we're both concerned, he's not that guy right now.
It's never been his personality.
Right, and you can maybe bank on the future. That's better than saying that this is the guy, right? Now you can bank on his future. That's better than saying he's gonna be great. You can bank on the future and maybe hoping that he'd be better in a couple of years. But ultimately, he's not your guy right now. And you got some young guys around the league, Victor Wembanyama, Chet Holmgren, that have been to the NBA Finals now. And I think if like you said, if Evan Mobley, really gave a damn about getting better and about, because a lot of these players just care about being paid, right? They only care about balling out when it's time to get paid. If he really cares about this team, I think he makes that step and he becomes a better player in the next year or so. But he's got to demand that ball, as far as I'm concerned, Evan Mobley. Because you think Jared Allen's got that dog in him? I don't think so. I think we all know that. But I'm hopeful that that maybe this team can get better in the future. But like you said, change got to start now.
Wally, we'll get you in here. Go ahead, brother. What's your reaction to all this?
I think, yeah, I agree with Humble, what he's saying. Jared Allen ain't no dog, no nothing. He's soft. I think he pretty much needs to go. But I think we have to. They have to really buckle down and look at some teams to trade to, and get real pieces, not no fake pieces, and just care about the money and stuff. No, we just need real pieces. If this team, and I told this to somebody in Twitter in the space. I told them if the Cavs is really serious, they should make moves. But if they don't, and they just a soft team altogether, you have a soft player, and the soft player controls no, the soft player basically affects the whole team. So I would say the Cavs is a soft team right now, because they have Jared Allen. If they get rid of them, they not a soft team no more. But making some moves and stuff, they need to make moves like ASAP. And I think with the Donovan Mitchell situation, I really believe he's going to wait until next year and sign that, because I really think he really wants to stay in Cleveland. We're not talking about like a Stephen Curry who like said something bad to the city, and we're not saying like LeBron where he said he don't want to come home and stuff. We looking at who really cares about the the city and stuff. So I think he really waiting for, if we don't hear nothing for this year, I think we're going to hear something for next year. And I'm really positive he's going to sign that extension, 5-year extension, because I think he really wants to stay. I think what that video, I forgot what that video was. Donovan Mitchell was saying he loved Cleveland. I think right now, people think he's lying. People think he's joking around, and everything. Believe it that I really believe him, but I think he's actually um waiting for that extension. He's waiting for that extension next year. He's not going to, because he is smart. He's intelligent. And he's a good player. But I really think Spider going to wait until next year.
Well, yeah, and it makes more sense. I mean, 5 years, 350. That's the kind of money you want to get to. Obviously, that's insane. But and he gets a new trade clause. He waits next year. I just think if I'm Donovan, first thing I got to realize is we're just not good enough where we are right now.
Yeah.
And we got to make some moves. And I Humble, I was thinking about what you said about Evan Mobley, and kind of like what I said to you. Like, it's never been his personality, but he is who he is. He's a really good player. I think a high level defender. And I think back to the moments in the postseason, he really showed up, especially in some clutch game. I mean, the clutch moments, he hit some big threes. He was consistent from a lot of the postseason. I thought the game 2, he dominated in New York. They didn't give him the ball at all in the second half. He was killing in the first half. And remember Barkley and Shaq were complaining about it. 2 former bigs, and they're like, why don't they feed him the ball and everything? I think what this team honestly needs, I think with Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley, you can win with those two guys. I think you just got to have that final piece. And I think that final piece is what they've been missing. Somebody that's been there, done that, but is also a Superman, Batman type of guy, like a LeBron, like a Giannis, that they got to get one of those two guys. And I think, honestly, LeBron, to me, is more realistic because I don't know. I don't think he's not going to be back at the Lakers at all, I don't think. And yeah, Golden State, that's a real thing. It wouldn't surprise me if it happened, but I think they could sell him on coming back home. He already knows that they probably already had conversation, but I think he could definitely. It makes more sense to come back here. He can get more money, I believe, in a sign and trade than he would the $15 million in Golden State. So, they got to do whatever it takes to get that kind of guy. And I think they're just that piece away. And you can move James Harden to the 4th role, which I think he can be pretty good at. You're not demanding much from him. So they got what they need. I think they're just that one piece away. But you look at a team like Boston, if they get Giannis, now, that's a whole different thing. You got to definitely go get LeBron in that situation, because if they go get Giannis with Jason Tatum and they're going to build some more pieces around them, Brad Stevens has never stood pat. He's always got, not only really good star tandem, but like Tatum and Brown, but he's always got good depth behind him and the right pieces like Drew Holiday and guys like Al Horford and guys like that. They're winning intangible players or players have winning intangibles, excuse me. So I think that's where the Cavs, they definitely got to get that first piece, right? And then you got to get ahead of it, though, because as soon as free agency starts, you got to start getting some other trades or pieces that you can add to that. And they got to get ahead of the curve a little bit. Wally, what do you think, though, about Giannis? I think it's down to Boston or Miami. I think that's it. I think that's the only two places he'll actually sign an extension. Because obviously that's the part I forgot to mention earlier. Yeah, you can go get Giannis in Cleveland if they want him, but will he actually sign an extension here long term? Probably not. I think he wants to be in Boston or Miami. But what do you think there? What do you think he's going to end up?
With Giannis, I very think it's a high chance he go to the Heat. He really wants to go to the Heat, but what I heard with the Boston Celtics and stuff, I think that's going to be a higher chance that he go. I don't know if he wanted to go there, but with Jason Tatum and not Jared Brown, I think it's going to be a good duo. Carry the Boston Celtics and stuff. Giannis is a good player. He's an all-star, MVP, long MVP. But I would say the Heat, because he really want to go to the Heat. He told everybody he want to go to the Heat. This is not like he didn't say that, but he did say that. But with the teams and the stuff, I think he's not going to be comfortable at Boston. And the other thing, with the Heat, big, his name said the 7'1" footer. No, the 7-footer. The rookie guy. I'm really high with him. I think he could, and Cleveland could trade him, could get him to come to Cleveland. Not Giannis, but the other guy. But because I very think he could very, very help with Mobley and yeah, basically that. Yeah, with help with Mobley.
Humble, what do you think about Giannis? Do you think he'll end up in Boston? What's your read on this?
Well, this says 48% of the Heat and 40% of Boston. Yeah, I think it's going to be a high chance of the Heat. If it's
Humble, we
saying,
got Humble.
Yeah, one second, bro. One second.
All right, Humble's busy. Why? Let me ask you this, and I'll ask Humble this when he's ready. What lesson do you think the Cavs could take from the Knicks after this championship run that they should apply to their team?
Well, like I said, couple days ago or a couple of weeks ago, the New York Knicks is the Cleveland Cavaliers kryptonite. They are. But to see how they go in and see how they played and won championship, I think they need to take notes. Most definitely, they need to take notes. Be serious what they trying to trade for. That's one, and hold the players accountable, basically. But with Jalen Brunson, shout out to him. He's a real player. He took a pay cut. We actually looking like Jalen Brunson looking like with taking a pay cut, looking like what's that player? Man, what's that player name?
Tino, I got won the championship.
I think that's him. But I think it's another one. Because I did remember Kobe did take a pay cut also. Did he?
I can't remember. I think he may be, but not often. I mean, some guys have taken pay cut. I mean, I think of a guy like Tom Brady for a lot of his career took one of a pay cut so they can get some guys. But
Yeah.
I mean, in general, though, a lot of these guys usually are underpaid to begin with. Like Michael Jordan, he was underpaid his whole career. You
Right.
look at it, So,
Yeah, I think the Cavs need to like really take notes on that team. I'm not like a good I don't like the team, New York Knicks, but it's really hard how they play and play good basketball and stuff. And they got Miguel Bridges. He's the type of guy to not miss no games, no days, no injuries, no nothing. 0 days, 0 games missed, 0 days missed, and he's a good player, and he won a ring too.
yeah. Humble, we got you back.
Yeah, what's going on, man?
Humble, I'm gonna go to you on the. I guess I'll start right there, and I'll ask your last question about
Sure.
what I just said. What lesson do you think the Cavs can take from the Knicks about what they can apply to their team and building it here moving forward?
Sure. I was gonna say you could probably get a better name selection, like household names, right? They got a OG Anunoby, they got a Jordan Clarkson. Who else did they get? Josh Hart, right? You got a lot of guys, Jalen Brunson, right? And that's a guy who, you know, literally did a 360 as far as career. If we're talking career, um, you know. So, I think Donovan Mitchell should honestly take a page out of Jalen Brunson's book, which would be really hard because Jalen Brunson is locked in the playoffs. And I got a question if Donovan Mitchell has the confidence enough to stay locked in for that long because, everybody knows how long a NBA season is. And when I look at it from that perspective, Cavs have dealt with what in the last couple of years which made us not be able to keep the team together. Injuries, right? I mean, it's injuries at the end of the day, right? We had that DG with his toe. You had the Evan Mobley having to get surgery. When you look at it from that perspective, a lot of these guys have been banged up, but you can't always look at injuries, right? But you can obviously look at as the team chemistry, and this is ultimately why we haven't clicked together fully as a fully chemistry team and a unit at 100%. And it's unfortunate, right? Because we're always going to have that what if. And I wanted to put this out, Joe, on your show. Excuse me. I think a lot of Cavs fans, you're getting a mixture between a lot of the generations, right? You got my father's generation. You got the old, like, we'll put it how it is, and you got the older heads. You got the guys like us, Joe, that kind of saw and Wally that saw the Cavs win the 2016 championship, and now you kind of got this new generation of players, and you kind of got a new bandwagon as far as like younger kids witnessing a good Cavs team in front of their eyes, not being teenagers anymore, they're adults, right? So I think, excuse me, I think that we're just in a new era. We're in a better basket. Like a lot of people kept saying the East was weak. It clearly isn't, right? This basketball is only evolving. Shout out Steph Curry. Obviously, the Knicks finally got one now. Shout out to them. They get after the droughts finally ended for them. I mean, we got our drought. We had a drought too, right? But long story short, if they're gonna learn anything, it's to get household names. As far as I'm concerned, you got to get better players, and I know Wally's of that mindset. And if you don't want to get better players, if you want to be stubborn with the money and the salary, all that stuff, then stop trading your damn picks and build through your damn picks. And ultimately, that's what I have to say.
Last one for you, Humble, before we wrap it up. I asked Wally, what do you think about Giannis? Obviously, if the Celtics thing happens, I think even the Miami thing happens. The Cavs, they got to definitely make a move to get a LeBron or somebody like that. I mean, I don't know who else could be on the market. Nobody knows, but they got to get better, like a point blank period. But Humble, what's your thoughts on Giannis right now? Obviously, like it says, Miami 48%, Boston 40%, so it's pretty close. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. You know, like you said, I think we both agree that Giannis can probably tap better into that Miami culture. He can do what he wants. They got so much, him and Bam, a guy that just broke Kobe's record. You don't think him and Giannis would make headlines, right? Whatever, and maybe they won't go nowhere. And I don't expect them to go nowhere, but they can maybe win a playoff series. I don't I don't think Giannis fits the Cleveland culture only because he's won a championship. Maybe if we got him younger in his career, right? Um, Maybe that'd have panned out, right? But I don't think you bank on Giannis to win you a championship in a Cleveland uniform. I hate saying that. It's just with Giannis, it comes his brothers, it comes more media. It's just there's a language uh trans barrier with some of the players, right? What have you, right? There's that USA versus Euro players competition that players are always fighting over. I don't know, man, right? I don't know if you want to make a European player the staple of the Cleveland Cavaliers culture. I don't know, right? I
Well, and
don't
I
know.
think too, you just made a helpful point that made me think about that. Yeah, this is a guy that's been in Milwaukee, already won a championship there, and has been kind of pissy with them a little bit about what they've been doing.
Right,
That's kind of why we are where we are now. You want to bring that guy to Cleveland because I think what the Cavs need, their perfect formula is a guy in LeBron who's choosing to come here, who's from here, and it means we all know what Cleveland is to him. And then you got a bunch of guys that haven't won that are hungry, rather than a
right,
guy that he's a star in himself, probably wants to level up his brand and go to like a different market like Miami or Boston. And that's what that's all about.
right. No, I agree. I 100% agree, and you told me that too. He'd be better in Miami. I mean, I agree. I totally agree with you, man.
Yeah, I mean either one. I think really. I think Miami though makes a little more sense for him because I don't know him and Tatum. They'd
I
be a
think
hell
he
of a tandem, but they both need the ball again. I think him and Bam could do some damage. I think especially if
100%.
they put a right team around them. They Pat Riley could build that up to a contender easily.
And
Um,
I was gonna say though, Joe. I don't know. Like it's kind of with the whole Steph Curry and LeBron situation. I don't know. I mean, we've seen it in past before, but I don't know how a player would feel about being traded to. I wouldn't say a division rival, but a team that he's beaten in the playoffs. I don't know. I don't know.
while you wrap it up,
Yeah. And I got another thing, a other questionable thing too. Next season it's not going to be this season. This is going to be a whole different season next season because you're gonna have some old players back of the Blazers. Damian Lillard. It's going to be really, really, really crazy, a crazy season. And then you have the Indian Pacers. They coming back. He's coming back, making it strong. Notice and stuff. They about to make a run. Everybody's gonna make a run next season. I don't know about Golden State though, but I
even
see.
with LeBron, I don't see them making a run.
Yeah. I see Indian Pacers, Trailblazers, OKC. Maybe not the Knicks, but I know they are the NBA champions and stuff. But if we thinking about reality, I think they not going to have a championship again next season. But again, we're not gonna say, oh, they played against injured players. No. We ain't gonna say that. They earn that. They uh really cut out of that curse, and now they won a championship and stuff. But again, I think the 4 teams going to make a run. But with the Cavs, I think Joseph or no, not Joseph. I think because the Oakland Magic are going to waive him next month. This month, not next month. This month, in a couple of weeks. I think we get a guy like him. He's 6'10". He shoot threes. He take defense really serious. He guard. If you look at his highlights, he guard Giannis. He take Giannis ball, blocks it. He do everything Jared Allen should have been doing during the season. And this is the other thing. Like if they get him, I really think they're going to be a good team again, and not running the back, but running it like they did not miss anything. So I think Jared Allen and James Harden have to leave Cleveland or let them walk and get
I
a
think
guy like him.
Jared Allen, I think, could be the odd man out still in the end. And I think Harden will just get put in a different role. Personally, I think that's which I think is what they need, those two things. Because Allen's your piece to get a guy like LeBron, or maybe you got to get a Wayne at least. You at least got to get a Wayne. I would go get the guy like LeBron. He knows how to win, been there, done that. I think the final piece you need. But Jonathan Isaac's interesting. I don't know if he'll be a starter, but definitely a guy you can use off the bench. I mean, he gives you length, size, and athleticism. I think they need to get more guys like that. Like I said, they help you on both ends. It can do multiple things, rebound and defend, and can do all those things that like the Knicks. Why I think they'll still be back next year because they have their main core. They just play basketball really well, and they're well coached. So I think that's what they need there. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting month. It's just getting started up. We're halfway through June. We're a couple weeks out now till free agency, and I think that's when we're going to see some fireworks here. But I think the next few months, you got the draft coming up, I think next week. So, I think this week you're going to hear a lot of rumors. You're going to kind of get more of a somewhat of what's going on, a little bit of a picture. I think next week's when you're really going to see stuff really start to take off. And then obviously the week after that's when it's going to actually explode. So, and moves will start to happen. So it's gonna be a lot of interesting things, a lot of moving pieces and parts. I think you'll see this off season. So make sure you like, subscribe, and share because we're gonna break it all down. But Wally, I'll let you get out of here, brother. Appreciate you as always coming up here today.
Yep.
We'll see you on the next one.
Most definitely.
Shout out to Wally.
Because that, like, if you think about it.
And then Humble, where can they subscribe to you at?
I'm sorry, bro. I'm stuffing my mouth, bro. Humble Man MMA, bro.
He's still recovering from last night.
I'm sorry, you guys. I love being on this show. It's like my therapy. I love my guy Joe, man. I love Wally. So I just appreciate being up here and whenever they can holler at me. And I'm just blessed to be here. And I love you guys. You can come subscribe to my channel. And yeah, man, love y'all. Love you, Joe.
Love you, brother. Appreciate you as always. Go subscribe to him. He had a hell of a night last night with UFC 250. So go look at his Instagram story. You'll see why. But shout out to him. Shout out to Wally. Shout out to all you guys. And like I said, please like, subscribe, and share all that good stuff. And I will see you in the next one. I'm out of here.